I loved so much spending a good chunk of my summer holidays at my grandparents in the village. I was always looking forward to this trip. But there was a thing that I didn't enjoy. The 5 hours ride on the bus. It was like a trip to Mars to me, thinking I will just never get there. I remember driving nuts my parents with how much time has left question. And this was happening every single time. Unfortunately, my grandparents died when I was 10, so we didn't take the trip regularly anymore, just rarely visiting some distant relatives. But this year we went together again and something unusual happened to me. I could not remember a single portion of the road, nor could I estimate even approximately how much time have we spent on the trip, like I teleported there. The reason was a conversation that I had with my mother. We discussed very intensely the whole ride, a subject that we had different knowledge about, and it was a heated exchange of facts, arguments and positions. Apparently this is not a big deal, as everyone experiences such blackouts once in a while, especially when you have your smartphone in the hand, you might not remember part of the road. But what caught my attention was that in both cases, when I was a little boy and recently, I had the same goal, to get to the village. Just that in the first case I was struggling, and in the second it happened without any effort from my side. Does this mean that you can achieve any goal in two different ways, through struggling or effortlessly? How do you usually work on your goals? How do you achieve them? Is it easy, or do you fight hard and even often give up because the goal is too difficult? How many New Year's resolutions have you failed? Throughout time I've set myself hundreds of goals that I have never achieved. The moment I decided to pursue a certain goal, I immediately felt excited. Motivation was through the roof. And as I was making the first steps, I was keeping the goal in my mind all the time as encouragement. But a strange thing was always happening. After a relatively short while, on any of my endeavors, the goal started to feel more and more daunting. Motivation was on empty, and the thought line on repeat in my brain was, "That's too hard, I'm not sure it's worth it." My mistake was in how I was looking at the process of achieving the goal. I'm sure you've previously heard phrases like "focus on the process, not the product", "focus on the journey, not the destination". So did I, but I didn't know what it meant and how exactly you focus on the journey. Then you hear "do 20 push-ups", "drink 5 glasses of water", "stop watching porn", it's clear. But focus on the process, not product, it's too abstract. So here's how this mantra works. The moment you set yourself a goal, and it can be ambitious as hell, it doesn't matter. It's even better, it's good to think big. So the moment you set yourself a goal and some intermediary milestones for it, you do the next thing. You forget about your goal. You don't think about the outcome, how good will it feel, and what will you do after achieving it. You don't do that. I know it may sound crazy because we are told that dreaming your dream every second of your day gives you motivation and enough energy for achieving it, which is simply not true. This is not how our brains work. The moment you think about a goal and imagine the outcome, your brain sees it as something that has already happened. That's why the initial feel-good state and motivation, because the brain is celebrating. Everything that you experience in life is coming through your 5 senses to the brain, and based on the incoming information from these senses, you experience thoughts in the brain, which leads to a wide range of emotions in the whole body. The bizarre thing is that we can experience thoughts and feelings without any sensory input from our eyes, ears, nose, mouth and skin receptors, just through simple imagination, and it will be as real as if something has physically happened. You know the example of imagining as you bite a lemon, which fills your mouth instantly with saliva. So after some celebration, brain will realize that it was tricked and that you are miles away from your destination. And you should know an important fact about your brain: it always wants to feel good. This is its #1 rule. So as you continue to focus on your goal, brain starts to freak out, as it sees that you are not there yet, so it gets unhappy. A short period of time passes and it finds again that you are not there yet, and it gets even unhappier. This trend places you in a bad state of mind. And of course the decisions that you will take in the bad state of mind will be something like, "This goal is just not for me, it's too ambitious and I am weak for it. I guess I am not the achiever type of person." And you give up. Your brain calms down and you feel a little better, but anyhow with a bitter taste in the mouth. And you just reinforced your belief that to achieve any goal in life you have to suffer. Which is a way to see things, but not the only one. If you would instead break down your big goal into as small as possible mini goals and focus on the simplest action possible, without even keeping in mind why you are doing it, your brain would be happy most of the time. As the smaller the steps, the more mini goals will be reached and the more accomplished the brain will feel. When you focus on the process, the desired goal takes care of itself without struggle. Keeping always in mind the big goal makes you feel miserable. as it just reminds you that you haven't achieved it yet. The result of any goal usually accounts for less than 1% from the time spent on achieving it. So if you don't enjoy the trip, then 99% of the time you will feel miserable. The big goal should be like a road sign, which is showing you direction and pops up just once in a while. But the focus should always be the process, the task at hand, without constantly evaluating how far are you from the goal. Just simplify every task and stop caring for the progress. It will happen, by itself. Let's say you want to write a book. This would be a big goal. And you can't force yourself to start writing it because it's too big of a goal to even start. You don't have time, you don't have energy, you don't have inspiration to write an entire book. But you go a step lower and you decide that your book will consist of 8 chapters, each about a different topic that you want to cover. Now you can set a smaller goal to write the first chapter, which I don't know about you, but for me is again an enormous task, and I will find hundreds of different ways how to procrastinate on it for weeks or even months. But let's go even deeper to a constituent unit of a chapter, which is a sentence. So my immediate goal would be to write a sentence. And this is a goal that I can definitely handle. It doesn't matter how long it will take me to write one. This is a goal I can totally accomplish, and I'm sure about it because I've done it previously. I have written plenty of different sentences in the past. And the moment I write my first sentence, I've accomplished my mini goal, which gives me a rewarding feeling, a treat, and I already can focus on my next mini goal, another sentence. It may sound childish, but this is our brain. In some matters it's so capricious that your only option is to trick it into doing something that it apparently doesn't want to do. In this simple way, without focusing on the book or even a chapter, you will sentence by sentence arrive to the last word in the book without struggling or forcing yourself to achieve anything. You will not torture yourself every few seconds with the exhausting thought that you are not there yet. Of course it will take time, but you will mostly enjoy the trip, and what is also important, you will arrive to your destination. You know the famous quote, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step"? In this case, the destination at 1,000 miles mark is the book, and every step we take is a sentence we write. And this formula works for every kind of goal. To have a fulfilling life, you have to set goals, but you don't have to give a damn about them. And this is one of the many paradoxes of life. Embrace it and use it for your own convenience.